You know what? I realized you still hear me with or without this mic, but I'm turning it on anyway as a possible added sound. How y'all doing this morning? I hope y'all had a restful sleep. Once again, I was gonna be like, fuck these kids. Okay, I'm not coming on here with them. They don't love me like that. They don't love me like that. But then, the morning chat is what I think. I mean, what's on my mind in the morning time, child. I haven't even had a sip of my coffee yet, child. And then I had something on my mind in the morning time, so I don't have to, but I want to. So here we go. I am going to take a break at some point, though. But I am at the hustle hard mode of my content creating career. So, no, that break might not come for another few years. It's going to be hustle hard. Okay, there we go. I'm taking out my lipstick stuff. So before I start talking, all I can say about yesterday, and I'm like, I did start in the middle of my thought right there, didn't I? I sure do. I have a tendency, just like I be thinking something in my head, and then I start speaking it out loud. Blame that on my Gemini rising, okay? Blame that on my Gemini rising. Yeah, because okay, I'm not taking a whole cat bath here, but your face is everything. Your ears, in your neck. Now, again, even though I don't put on a whole face, I do know that. I've lived a life. I know some people that do things. I was going to sell Mary Kay, or at least I was at a presentation. Huh? Oh, I need to either get my sharpener and sharpen my little. It can make it to the end of the week. But I'm not spilling no tea on my channel. But I got some things that was confirmed talking to a friend yesterday about some things that's in the work. No, you know what? What I'm going to say is I got I'm sorry. I'm looking. It looks like it says something about chat. Unable to connect to chat. Okay, that's fine with me. Okay, it says the chat is disconnected. I speak abundance in my YouTube channel. Look, I don't think I have to worry about that. Yeah. How you doing, girl? Boop. I know this seems so dark to wear black lipstick, but this black lipstick just works for me. But I've always liked a darker lip for me because, and someone else mentioned that like about 5 years ago, said, you would look really good with a darker lipstick. I was in school and one of my classmates, but I really didn't have a costume or anything around Halloween, so the easiest thing was for me to go out and get some colored lipstick from the Beauty Supply store or wherever I got it from. I don't remember where I got it from. And I just wore the purple lipstick to school. And they said, you know what, that does look good on you, girl. I said, it does, don't it? So let's do this more often. So that part. Okay. So enough for the behind the scenes. Let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. Good morning. Welcome to the morning chat where I tell you what's on my mind in the morning time. It is December 1st, officially the first day of the last month of the year. And 29 days before my last day on the plantation. Now, mind you, I know that don't sound good coming from a dark-skinned woman like myself. So it's kind of obvious to some to assume, or they could trust that I probably have some type of American slave roots, Chad. But that's not necessarily so. I was talking to this guy in Kroger. Now, he was extremely happy type, and he was telling me about there were certain, not all the dark skinned people, even as dark as myself, you should not assume that they are American. I mean that they're from Africa. They're African slaves. A lot of those slaves that you thought were, let me put you over here. You thought was from Africa was actually indigenous to this country, this land. They were indigenous people to this land that we are here now. And they were just of dark complexion and they grouped them as black. And that makes sense. Man is ignorant until he isn't. So they grouped them as black. And all of them were slaves. Of course, we know there were some people that were considered black that were Indians. Or, I'm sorry, not Indians, Native Americans or indigenous people to this land. They were actually owners of their own people. And ready for it? White people. I know. I know. I mean, he showed me stuff, but I haven't done the research. But I've always felt like now, I feel like the story that they keep telling us is that we were slaves, but some part of me feels like it wasn't all like that. I think it was just maybe in the South, but even in the South, it wasn't as they're telling us the history that we ain't never seen. You know, that might be the situation there, but what if in actuality It was the black people. We were slaves, but we gave them a power. Say you gonna go ahead and act like. What if there was more than you knew, where the slaves were the owners, but in order to play along in the racist society, played the slave, but they really was the ones running the plantations. I wonder. I should write a book about that. Where it's kind of like a weird situation where there is a plantation that there was maybe about a 10% in the South where the slaves were actually were the bosses, but so that their community, so that their whole just isn't, what I'm saying, that they knew that if the rest of society knew that they were the ones, they would have came in and burnt it down like they did everything else that we did and successfully ran. So in order to stay under the radar, they acted as the slaves, but they were really the ones running shit. You know what I'm saying? Those shacks look like shacks, just like Wakanda looked like a just old poor African nation, but when you go past the force field or whatever, you find that this is a bustling, prosperous land that they should have pilfered a long time ago, right? And I don't think I said that word right. I do not think I said that word right, but I said it anyway. So, yeah, that part. So, that was on my mind early this morning. Um, there is no morning chats. I believe if the only morning chat is that the morning chat went premiered today for does money change you or the people around you, I think. That's it. This weekend, God's willing, I'm gonna go ahead and edit that last chapter that I've read, so that I can do the live of the epilogue. Now I'll probably still pre-read it this weekend and do it like thus and like so, as some would say. Is it? Is it this? I thought I dismissed that alarm. Anyway, so that part. I mean, so that's all. So because this time again, I really don't have much to say. I want to go ahead and get into this 15 minutes of funk of the main topic, talking about talent versus likability, and that means I'm gonna have to let Instagram go. I will see you all tomorrow morning, God's willing. And I actually decided to get up and do a morning chat. I will see you tomorrow. All right, Instagram, you go on out of here. If you want to see the full thing, you would have to go to my YouTube, according to a card channel, and watch the full live. Or you could just join my Patreon for $3 and you get the main topic. All right, so let's talk about it. 15 minutes of funk will start in a few minutes as I close out Instagram and start my timer. Bye. Okay, so let me see if I can provide you some type of entertainment and post this at the same time. Uh, da, 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 da. Okay, so I am not that talented because I'm trying to entertain you too. Okay. Do, do, do. I gotta be more prepared, huh? There we go. I mean, when I get my assistant, life will be good. Okay, let's get to my timer. And here we go. Let's talk about talent versus likability, which is the title of this morning chat. On To me, a lot of the most famous people are not especially the ones that their came from a group. Like when you talk about music industry, most of those the most talented of the group isn't the one that tends to make it um big. Okay, like let's use Supreme as the Supremes, like with Diana Ross and Mary Wilson or whoever else is supposed to be in the Bird Song, all them, right? Diana Ross isn't the most talented, wasn't the most talented. It was the Effie of the group. Okay, let's use that. She wasn't the most talented, but she was the most likable of the group. Okay, Beyonce. She wasn't the only one could sing. Okay, because I don't want to say that because of Destiny's Child, that group, even like Michelle, she could sing, but her squeaky voice kind of like I don't even like her singing style. I'm not saying that she can't sing; it just bothers me that the squeakiness of her voice. Okay, a squeak can still be in tune. Okay, it's just the high. Oh, child, makes my skin crawl. Um, but she wasn't the only one of that group. But it wasn't about her talent. Or let's take even New Edition. You had some lead singers. We didn't realize for real, that what's his Ricky Bell could sing until they did the BBD. I know I didn't. Okay. We was all thinking Ralph Tresvant, and he just had that high pitched Michael Jackson as a kid voice. Even with the Jackson Fives and Michael Jackson, he wasn't the best singer of that group. It was Jermaine. You know what I'm saying? Again, like Beyonce wasn't the best singer. I would say it was probably Latoya, who was eventually allegedly kicked out the group. Well, not allegedly. I don't know if it was a kick out or just a layoff. I don't know what the thing is. But the first two, Latavia and Latoya was the best one. Escape. The best singer is Latasha and Tamika. Okay, but are they the most famous? No, they're not. Okay, why? Because they're not likable. Candy is likable. What's Miss May? Tiny is likable. Okay. I was watching Hunger Games on Apple TV. That's the only thing I have that's Apple that's not an actual Apple chair. Okay. And that's what their not their sponsor, but their mentor was trying to tell them like that's the way you get sponsors, by being likable. Okay. Peter understood that. Katniss was like, look, I'm just trying to keep it real. Do you notice the ones that always try to keep it real and loyal is always the most talented one? It's like, I don't have to do nothing. I got skill, right? But then she wasn't very likable. Okay. And by the end of the movie, she learned how to play the game. You do have to be likable. You gotta kind of play along with it in order to survive this thing. You understand what I'm saying? You do have to play along with the game. Like that's kind of, it's kind of going along with when I said you still have to play the game, whether you're working for somebody or you working for yourself or you are artist or the producer. You still got to play along. You still got to play the game because it's someone that you need to please in order to get a check, in order to pay your bills. You have to be likable. They got to like you. Okay. You could have the most talent in all the world and have a effed up attitude, and nobody gonna want you around. She good, but she's an ass. Oh, okay. We only call that person in, okay, when we need the big guns, and we need talent over likability. Nobody's gonna want to work with you if you're an a-hole. Okay, a lot of people get away with ish because they are likable. Or when it comes to the talent and creating is or sellable. Diana Ross was more sellable across the board than your big girl, right? That had the talent. Beyonce was more sellable. So maybe it shouldn't be talent versus likability. It should be talent versus sellable. But how does that work when you're talking about in an office or corporate space? You can have all the talent in the world and all the experience in the world, okay? But it's kind of like who you know. Your work can tell, I'm a person and let me show you what I can do. Okay, trust me. Every job that I've ever had, um, every job that I've ever had, after, that I temped at has hired me. Every single one. Whether it was officially a temp assignment, whatever, trust me, they will hire me. Okay, I know I have value. Even if it's not the fact, even if it's just the factor of me being reliable and me being there, I will outweight some situations. You understand what I'm saying? I can outweigh it, like this one where I am now. I started out as a temp assignment. It was supposed to be a long term, like a 3-month long, not internship, but temp assignment. And they end up hiring me. What did I do? I just stayed. I just kept coming. They said, "Go ahead, find somebody new, child." I've been there when it came to relationships before, child. They said, "Find somebody new." Nope. I'm going to stay here with you. If someone new comes along, I sure will try it. I will. Well, now I will. Back then, I just like, I'm here. I ain't got nowhere else to go. And I don't do well, like they say, look for a job while you have one. I've never been good at that. I got to be out of a job, focused. Now that's one thing I learned about myself. But this is not about that. The topic is talent But have you noticed though? Have you noticed that it's not the most talented person that makes it big? I mean, think about, okay, let's think about rap beefs like Jay-Z versus Nas. Nas, if you ask me, lyrically, he got the skills. He murdered Jay-Z with Ether. His wordplay, his lyricism, he's a wordsmith. Now, I'm not saying Jay-Z ain't now. I've heard some of his, like, I was like, God damn, don't hurt him like that, Jay-Z. They both be dropping knowledge, but lyrically, I feel like Nas is just a little bit. Now, I will never take away from Jay-Z's ability of wordplay and his rap style. That nigga right there got skills. Okay, he's a Sagittarius. Sagittarius, if nothing else, is mother effing skilled. Okay, but we're not talking about that either. But they got talent. The one who made it was the one who was likable. Nas is the one that's keeping it real, keeping it hood, keeping it street. Reminded you, I'm still from Brooklyn Bridge, Queensbridge. I'm still hard. The one that is kind of like he still got that. But Jay-Z is like he's a businessman. He understands there's some things you just gotta do. And some things is like, I'm doing this, boom, boom, boom. You got to be a little more likable. He got rid of the characters in his life that wasn't as light, that was a little too crass. Like, you know who I'm talking about, his homeboy, who's bitter about it, but he had to give him because he was crass. Look how far he went once he let him go. Not to say that guy wasn't important, but Jay-Z he married a wife that was likable. He understood what he needed. Okay, he might not be likable, but he's going to bring in people that's going to make him likable and soften up his character. He can't have a hard character. I mean, but Nas didn't go there. He went with a real chick, like a Khalees, who was going to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that Nas isn't a legend, because he's definitely a legend, but as far as notoriety and where he rose to, I mean, he rose still, but it's just, Jay-Z kind of made it seem like he was more that way. But, sometimes it's talent and hard work meets timing, but sometimes it's just about being likable. People got to like you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm coming on the last 10 minutes because really, I'm going to tell you, this episode that I'm doing today is really, I really want to get in on some things, but I can't do it now, child. I absolutely can't do it at this time because, and it's what I have to drop, the truths that I got to drop is going to have to be on Patreon only. I'm going to have to see who is on my Patreon, and after a certain amount of time before it's just not ready. This tea ain't finished steeping. It just hasn't finished steeping. So that's all I got for y'all. This was, I'm just telling you, it was hard for me to say this. I mean, to do it. What I just did, that was a mask for what I really wanted to say. Because it had made it, recently it's become so clear to me of the things that I was thinking in my heart about some things. But I can't, because I promised that I wouldn't say anything yet about anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not going to say some things. You know what I'm saying? Because I have signed a spiritual NDA. Okay. So that's all I got for you all. Remember to love yourself, love your neighbors, and stay authentic. Okay? Even well, try to be as authentic as you can at work. I know you got a code switch. Bye.